welcome to another episode of On a Legal Note by Carrie Geren Scoggins. Recently in the news, the CEO of Mozilla was bullied into resigning from his position after he had made a $1,000 donation to a group supporting the Christian viewpoint of marriage, being that the definition of marriage being one man and one woman, opposing Proposition 8, only to have the company he works for send out messages going viral, violating Mr. EICH'S Christian civil rights, demonizing him for his religious beliefs that oppose same-sex marriage. Mr. EICH resigned. According to the law, Mozilla violated the 1964 Civil Rights Act, giving Christians protected class status, making sure that they do not lose their Christian civil rights while on the job. The 1964 Civil Rights Act was again supported by the federal Supreme Court in more recent hearings, giving the Christians the legal right to adhere to core values. The core values ruling is a court precedent set supporting Christian civil rights, which specifically states their legal right to adhere to core values, that of Romans chapter 1, which does not condone homosexuality nor the same-sex marriage agenda. The CEO of Mozilla, Mr. EICH, had his full legal rights to adhere to his Christian core values, that of Romans chapter 1, and the biblical definition of marriage, which is one man and one woman, which is in opposition to Proposition 8. It was illegal for Mozilla to discriminate against his Christian tenets of faith. We saw a similar case recently when A&E dropped Duck Dynasty's Phil Robinson for statements he made supporting the biblical definition of marriage being one man and one woman, and that of not condoning the homosexual lifestyle. A&E hired him back on, brought him back onto the show after the threat of a civil rights lawsuit. Again, the 1964 Civil Rights Act makes it clear that Christians do not lose their Christian civil rights while on the job. This includes in their time off and in their private lives. Their legal right to adhere to Christian core values while on the job and when they're not on the clock. The Democratic Party has tried for some time to bring in Bible censorship of scriptures concerning homosexuality, going all the way back to the Obama-Pelosi hate speech laws, which were overturned in the federal Supreme Court, upholding the Christians' legal right to debate the issues. Their legal right to debate any issue, including that of Romans chapter 1 and the homosexual lifestyle. The legal right to oppose mainstream thought, and also the legal right for a scientific debate. In quoting the American Medical Association, of whom has again stated in the DOMA hearings that there has been no gay gene found to date, and that all of the studies that have been done so far in looking for a, quote, gay gene has only shown that there was, quote, no difference between homosexuals and heterosexuals found. There is no gay gene, there is no clump of genes that create a homosexual, and there was no gay gene cut on by epigenetic markers. all of the propaganda spread that they're, quote, born gay is easily refuted by the American Medical Association and all of the studies paid for by taxpayer money that have proven exactly the opposite. That there's no difference between a homosexual or heterosexual, and that they are not born gay. This was again said by the American Medical Association in the DOMA hearings, leading the federal Supreme Court to refuse to hear Proposition 8, dropping it down to a higher state court and leaving the decision upon a state level. The federal Supreme Court decided, since there was no gay gene, that it was not a civil right. However, even if there had been a gay gene found, or even if same-sex marriage had been made legal on a federal level, this would still not give any individual or business, nor government entity, the legal right to violate Christian civil rights, the Christian's legal right to adhere to core values, including that of Romans chapter 1, condemning the homosexual lifestyle as of a reprobate mind, nor would it give them the legal right to harass Christians, verbally abuse them, send out tweets and posts against their religious tenets of faith, such as was done by Mozilla against this CEO, bullied into resigning, or any form of bullying Christians for their religious tenets of faith that do not support the homosexual lifestyle. It is still their Christian civil rights to adhere to this core value of Romans chapter 1. And they do not lose this civil right while on the job or in their businesses, according to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which designates Christians as protected class status under religion. Even in the bullying legislation, there were attempts to bring back these hate speech laws and Bible censorship that were overturned in the federal Supreme Court as unconstitutional religious censorship. In the United States, there is no religious censorship. Citizens have the legal right to proselytize their faith or spread the gospel from an uncensored Bible, including that of Romans chapter 1, which condemns the homosexual lifestyle. It is the Christian's freedom of speech rights, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and freedom to proselytize their faith, as upheld by the federal Supreme Court. The Democrats, liberals, and progressives have only wanted freedom of speech rights for those that support their agenda politically. In the United States, we have freedom straight across the board. Both ends of the political spectrum, the conservative and the liberal, which includes Christian civil rights, and their freedom of religious speech. That the federal Supreme Court upheld in overturning the hate speech laws and upholding the Christians' legal right to debate the issues. Again, the federal Supreme Court supported the 1964 Civil Rights Act in Christians not losing their civil rights while on the job or in their private businesses. In the core values ruling, the court precedent has been set. The anti-Christian discrimination permeating the United States culture to date brings back the adage, "You are not a libertarian until you support the legal rights of those that you despise." That is the legal rights of Christians, their civil rights, their legal right to adhere to core values, their legal right to debate the issues, their legal right to quote an uncensored Bible, and stopping violations of the separation of church and state, keeping the state out of the church, stopping Bible censorship. There is no freedom from religion. Our federal Supreme Court did not find a freedom from religion. And Christians do not lose their civil rights on the job or in their businesses. They have the legal right to adhere to core values, including that of Romans chapter 1, according to the federal Supreme Court precedent. I'll sue! This has been another episode of On a Legal Note by Carrie Geren Scoggins. Look for more information at Carrie Geren Scoggins' Political Newsletter and Carrie Geren Scoggins' Political Newsletter Bible Prophecy Times Edition, Facebook pages, and bloggers.